Hey everybody, it is Saturday night and I finally made some progress here on my red-clawed crab tank. No sense in beating around the bush. We'll get right to it. Before the crab makes an escape and hides, there's my red-clawed crab. I finally got it in this tank. I've been talking about moving it and talking about getting a tank set up for this crab forever. And I finally did it this morning. I was in here doing some work on my native tank. I did a really big water change. I got in there and I did some work on the filter. And while I was doing that, I figured I would go ahead and see if I could get this crab taken care of. See if we can get a better look at it here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So far, I have not seen it out of the water. It's been crawling around down at that end of the tank, but I have seen it out and about quite a bit since I put it in there this morning. This is about the third or fourth time I've been in the room now that I've done this, and in each occasion, I've not had to look very hard at all to find the crab. So that's kind of good news. Now, I'm still on the fence of whether I want to try to catch some small crayfish and put some crayfish in this tank, or if I want to keep it crabs only. I'm really not sure how crayfish would work with crabs in here, because the crayfish are going to basically stay in the water. I don't know what this crab's going to do, but I assume it's going to stay in the water most of the time, but it will come out to root around in the sand and stuff. I don't think it's going to spend a lot of its time on the land part of this tank, and I know crayfish would not. So if I put even a small crayfish in this tank, I just think that's going to be too much, clawed animal. For this tank. I don't see it now, so it's probably, I kind of see some claws back there, so it's crawled down underneath of that rock. So I think instead of doing a crayfish, maybe I will just go ahead and do another red-clawed crab. Maybe two more. Not quite sure how many would go in this tank, because again, I don't have a lot of water. It's probably less than half the tank is water when you really get right down to it. And when you look at how much of it is actually usable bottom space, it's only a strip this wide, because all of this, this goes all the way across here, and that's just Lexan. So it's not like they can do anything on that. If you look straight through, you can actually see some of the plumbing from the pump I've got on the other side moving the water around. So there's enough water for a crab, and you can see the endlers in there have plenty of water, but I really don't think that's enough room for crabs. A lot of them anyway. So we'll try maybe two, and we'll see what happens. Again, I just don't think the crayfish is going to be the way to go just now. Now, having said that, I've got the crab out of this tank, and all I've got in here now is a ton of endlers. I did a water change today. I finally did a gravel vac in this tank for the first time in forever. And when I refilled the tank, I did not put brackish water in. I topped it back off with fresh water. So it had brackish water to begin with, and I did a little bit of a water change. So now it's probably got, it's probably not enough to call brackish, but it's, it's got a little bit of salts in there, and that's about it. So I topped it off a little more volume of water, so it's more of a fish tank and less of a crab tank now. And this can always become a small crayfish tank. I've even kind of considered getting another 20-gallon tank. They're not that expensive. I just don't have any money to buy anything right now, so buying another fish tank, and don't let my wife hear you say that, but buying another fish tank would be not really on the top of my priorities list right now. But having another 20-gallon tank, 20, each one slightly different, but all kind of part of the same setup. And I think what I'm going to do is rearrange these. This is going to be my bottom tank, since it's got ground and land and sand and all that kind of stuff. So this tank can come up here, and that'll be watery. This tank back here, whenever I get around to doing it, this tank will be watery. and hopefully we'll even have some waterfall going on. And then down here below all of the watery tanks, we'll have the sandy tank with the crabs and stuff in it. I think that visually would make a little more sense than having water, land, and then water down here below. I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, we've got, you know, I can change this up as often as I want, or I can always do stuff different, moving around. None of this is permanent. So on that note, I'll say go ahead and subscribe. That way you won't miss any of the updates I've got coming up. This is going to be a work in progress, probably for quite a while. I'm kind of hoping it'll sort of carry me into the winter months, you know, tinkering with it and making tweaks and adjustments and changing the plants and moving the, you know, moving the garden-y aspect of it around. There's stuff I can do with the lighting. I still have another LED that I want to put together that's going to be a lot less intense than this one. So look forward to that. I will someday get around to doing some more video about the lighting on this area. You know, the LEDs I've been using, they're really, really good, high quality LEDs. So again, make sure you subscribe. That way you won't miss any of that or anything else on this garden tank area. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you real soon in the next one.